All right, okay. Because none of our cats have been able to get a really good thoracic region, okay, enough to be able to name enough, then I'm going to go over the abdominal region, the abdominal vessels. And just for as a reference where we are, we're going to start with the aorta. The aorta was kind of difficult to find here, but we want to look for where those branches are that are coming from the aorta. And so back here is where that aorta is going to be. You're looking for a vessel that's going to go all the way straight down, and it's actually going to be behind this inferior vena cava, which I'll go over in a little bit. But I want you to really pay attention to the branches, because the first branch that you see, which is this major one here, okay, this one particularly, you can even see that it's got 3 branches, 1, 2, and 3. That means that this is going to be the celiac trunk. The celiac trunk is going to go to 3 places. It's going to go to the stomach, it's going to go to the spleen, and it's going to go to the liver. So first, that's your celiac trunk. Inferior to that, you have this other major branch. It's a little bit broken off, but just to give you an idea in terms of relatively where it is. And this one is what's called the superior mesenteric artery. The superior mesenteric artery, how you can tell it's a superior mesenteric artery, it has to go to the majority of the intestines, which it does. So if you see a large vessel, a fairly large vessel that's going to the top part of the intestines, it's going to supply the majority of the digestive system. That should be your superior mesenteric artery, and these are your intestines right here. So just to give you an idea. Okay, let's go a little further down. All right, so we'll sort of zoom in a little bit. We're going to continue with that abdominal aorta until finally we get to about this point. This is the kidney. So this one over here is the left kidney, just to give you an idea. And then you're going to notice that there is one artery, and it's not staining very well, but we can still see it. If you notice that there is this one artery right about here, the artery is typically going to be smaller than the renal vein, but this is the renal artery, and the renal artery is going to take blood to the kidney. Okay, next up. So here's that abdominal aorta. Following it along, the next stop that we're going to reach is this branch, which is going to be the gonadal artery. So there is supposed to be a left gonadal artery also here, but it might have been broken off by accident. But if you see a really skinny one that's like this, only on that side, then you know that that one is going to be the left gonadal artery. Because this one is a male, we can be specific with that, and this is going to be the testicular artery. We can say that. We're going to continue going on with our abdominal aorta, and then you're going to see a second branch right here. This one is very similar in size to this. Sometimes it's significantly smaller, but you want to look at relative placement rather than size. This one, if you follow it, notice where it goes to the lower part of the large intestine. So this one is then going to be the inferior mesenteric artery. And as we continue on, okay, at some point it is going to branch. It hasn't been dissected all the way in yet, so I'm not going to go past that. But then it's going to take us to our external and internal iliac, okay? But we haven't gotten there yet. So at the very least, just the abdominal region. Now, how about the blood that is coming back up? The blood that is going to be coming through the veins and what's going to lead to the inferior vena cava. So we're going to start with the inferior vena cava. And from the inferior vena cava, we're going to go up in this direction. Remember where it's going. Here's the inferior vena cava. What are some areas that we have to look at? Okay. The renal vein is going to be taking blood from the kidneys. On this side, you'll notice that there's this little branch point that's there. Whereas, okay, I'm going to come back to it, so don't worry. On this other side, notice that there isn't a branch point coming this way. Okay? That branch is actually the gonadal vein on the left side. So if you notice this really skinny vein coming up, it's going to drain blood. This is going to be coming from the testes, and then this is going to be the left gonadal vein. You don't see this kind of arrangement draining into the renal vein on the right side, just kind of an FYI, okay? And that's also true in the human as well. So you have your left gonadal vein that's here. Okay, here is your renal vein. And what are other ones that we can look for? Okay, here, this is what's a little bit tricky in that there isn't an inferior or superior mesenteric vein that's very clear cut. You would have to have vessels that are going to be draining into the hepatic portal vein. The hepatic portal vein is a little difficult to find here because it would be very, very thick, and so that's one of the ones that we haven't been able to kind of dissect in all the way. But at the very least, we can see those. Okay, sometimes in some cats the hepatic portal vein is nicely dyed with a color, and this particular one it doesn't. But if you find this major vessel that's going into the center of the liver, then that's going to be the hepatic portal vein. Now the mesenteric branches that drain into it, in this particular cat, you won't be able to see very well. Okay, and so as in terms of the abdominal region, this is probably one of the best looking cats. Likely, you know, if you